From the Beskar skull of a mythosaur to the capital city of Mandalore, where our favorite Mandalorian will finally redeem himself. Here are the major Easter eggs and hidden details that you missed in Season 3's first episode. Starting with the mythosaur skull that was hanging on the cave wall. As soon as the episode starts, we're introduced to the armorer. She starts crafting a Mandalorian helmet for the youngling who's waiting just outside the cave. And just as she fires up the forge, you can see a really familiar sigil hanging on the cave wall. For those of you who are new to Mandalorian culture, this sigil is the skull and horns of a mythosaur, who were once enormous creatures native to Mandalore. After the first ruler of the Mandalorians, Mandalore I, drove them to extinction, the mythosaur's skull became the symbol of the Mandalore, and eventually the symbol of the Mandalorian people. But knowing Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, this detail wasn't just a cool little Easter egg for fans who appreciate Star Wars lore. Season 3's main focus is Din Djarin's redemption arc, and if he needs to go to his home planet and bathe in the living waters, then the Easter egg might just be some clever foreshadowing. Will Mando and Grogu confront a mythosaur on their quest? We'll find out. Anyway, the Armorer's Cave wasn't the only place that featured references to mythical Star Wars creatures. After killing the giant alligator-like monster and speaking with the Armorer, Mando and Grogu head to Navarro via hyperspace, and that's where Grogu saw the Purrgil. He was understandably intimidated by them because the N1 starfighter looked like a peanut next to them. But that's what's so cool about one of the most fascinating creatures in Star Wars. The Purrgil were first introduced in Star Wars Rebels. They are massive whale-like creatures with huge bulging foreheads and a bunch of tentacles flowing behind them. And despite their enormous size, they are the only sentient creatures that can travel through hyperspace as fast as any modern starship. And like the mythosaur, the showrunners included them in the first 10 minutes of the first episode. And that's not by accident, because this is a not-so-subtle way to foreshadow the upcoming Ahsoka series. In Star Wars Rebels, the Purrgil pushed Grand Admiral Thrawn's ship into hyperspace, with the Padawan Ezra Bridger stuck on board, and they've disappeared ever since, with Ahsoka Tano unable to discover their whereabouts. She told Mando back in Season 2 that she was looking for Thrawn and Bridger, and that she feels responsible for them going missing. So the fact that Purrgil are now part of live-action Star Wars is really exciting for the fans, because it hints at the return of Admiral Thrawn, one of the franchise's most iconic villains, as well as Ezra Bridger. As of this video, Ahsoka doesn't have a release date, but here's hoping it hits Disney Plus in the midsummer. Now, after coming out of hyperspace and landing on Navarro, the episode gave fans the most fun Easter eggs yet. There were several callbacks to Season 1, as well as the rise of Skywalker, like the Kowakian monkey lizards. They're seen thriving in the trees, which came as a relief because their fate looked really dark in Season 1. When Mando passes through Navarro, the monkey lizards are seen in locked cages, and they were forced to watch a member of their group being cooked in a fire nearby. Horrible. So it was nice to see that the showrunners remembered to include them, and that they're now flourishing and increasing their population. It's also an indication of Navarro's increasing wealth. The people no longer live in fear, and pirates are no longer welcome. There's also an increase in diversity, as we see more new creatures than ever before. Most casual fans might have missed the droids walking in the backgrounds of certain scenes. The city's filled with protocol droids, and there's one particular droid who walks up to Mando and Grogu and starts talking about Navarro's history. It looks like an exact copy of C-3PO, who was rebuilt by Anakin Skywalker in the prequel trilogy, except it doesn't have his iconic gold color. But the most exciting reveal was the IG-11 statue in the middle of the town square. It was built back in Season 2, but it was assumed that the statue was just a statue. But we immediately find out that it was actually made using all the spare parts from the original IG-11. This starts the whole "let's fix IG-11 so I can take him to Mandalore with me" character arc for Mando. And it's also where we finally see one of the most adorable additions to the Star Wars universe since they were introduced in The Rise of Skywalker, the Anzellans. Fans were hoping they'd see a small cameo from Babu Frick this time around.
Magistrate Karga.
That's High Magistrate Karga to you. Come, let's catch up on old times. It's so good to see you. Welcome back.
Doesn't even look like the same place.
I know, we've done a lot with it.
But it was more of a cute throwback to the character, which was really appreciated. Plus, hearing the Anzellan droidsmith yell, "No squeeze, no squeeze," while Grogu tried hugging him was one of the cutest moments of this year. It's a testament to Scottish actress Shirley Henderson's vocal talent. Oh, and she also voiced Babu Frick in The Rise of Skywalker as well. So if they've got her voicing the Anzellan droidsmith crew in The Mandalorian, I hope we get to see a Babu Frick cameo real soon. But now, let's move towards the more compelling details hidden in the episode, including Gorian Shard, the pirate king who looks like a ghost from a Scooby-Doo movie. In the first episode was a genius move. And here's why. There's a theory that he'll be coming for Mando once he returns to Navarro. He reminded fans of the previous pirate kings, like Hondo Ohnaka from the Clone Wars. He was an awesome character who was always in trouble with the Jedi, the Republic, and sometimes even his own men. But Gorian seems a lot more pragmatic than that. He runs a massive pirate ship, and he looks like a swamp creature that you wouldn't want to mess with. Plus, his costume design was on point. I hope the theory's right because I'd love to see more of him in later episodes. But there's another character that I wish we would see more of in Season 3, and that's Cara Dune. It would have been weird if the show didn't acknowledge her absence, because as of right now, actress Gina Carano and Disney aren't on the best of terms. She was fired from The Mandalorian after she said that being a Republican today is like being a Jewish person in the Holocaust. Not the best thing to say in any situation, but it's nice to know that Jon Favreau didn't kill off her character. Cara Dune was one of my favorite new additions to Star Wars, and as of Episode 1, she's joined the Special Forces and is probably exploring new parts of the galaxy. I hope she isn't killed off though, because finding a way to include her in the storyline would be awesome. Now, finally, the most interesting Easter egg in the entire episode, and it's right in the beginning. After killing the alligator creature, Mando hands the armorer a green shard which has a strange inscription on it. This means that one of the Empire's worst war crimes from the Legends era is now canon, and the inscription itself hints that the Mandalore, which was said to be crystallized during the Empire's assault, isn't poisoned. But if you take a look at the inscription itself and analyze it, it's way more meaningful. It's a passage from King James Version of the Bible that talks about the Egyptian enslavement of the Jewish, and that they were eventually led to paradise by Moses. Seeing references to the Jewish diaspora in The Mandalorian gives it an added layer of meaning that you don't get from a lot of shows. And that's why we love it so much, don't we? And that's all I have on the best hidden details and Easter eggs in the Season 3 premiere.
And this relic only proves that Mandalore's entire surface has been crystallized by fusion rays.